Yes, the next concept is here helpers in CodeIgniter. In CodeIgniter, we have some predefined helpers, right? So what are them? Predefined. I mean, predefined means they given by the framework. Right? Predefined helpers are there. So what is a helper? How can we access the helper into your controller? So whatever the predefined libraries, predefined helpers are provided by the framework will always be accessed within your controllers only, guys, right? Let us see how we can work with it. So all are predefined helper. So what is a helper here? So there is a question here. Helper. What is a helper? HEL. What is a helper, guys? This is what we have to answer first. Right? Yes, guys. Let's write the definition. A helper is a collection of methods. Helper contain a group of methods, guys, under specific category like array helpers, cookie helper, form helper, like this. We have some helpers are there. How can we load the helpers? And that we have to check it now, guys. So I will show you there is a group of methods are the group of categories are there. I mean, form helper, cookie helper, table helper, HTML helper. Like this, we have a lot of helper categories are there. I will show you what are the predefined helpers. Sometimes, if you want, you can create our own helpers also. That we will see later in separate sessions, guys. How can we create custom helpers? How can we create custom libraries that we can talk about later? Right now, a helper is a collection of methods or a group of methods under a specific category. Like, guys, in core PHP, we have array methods, we have string methods, we have file handling, we have date handling methods, right? Like this, we have different libraries and different methods are there. In the same manner, in our CodeIgniter 3 also, we have a concept called helper. A helper, nothing but it will help us in our application development. The helper name itself is saying that, right? It is going to help you in our application development, exactly a helper, right? So once the helpers are there, all the helpers defined by the coordinator framework. So those helpers, if you want to access into your application development, definitely the helper should be loaded into controller. Right? See, guys, here loading a helper into controller. How can we load a helper into controller? We know already we said we load a view into controller. We load a model into controller. That's what we seen yesterday. For loading view, we have a method. What is the method? This of load of view. What is the name of the view? Here we have to pass view name. For loading model, we have a method called model method. So this is the method called model, and here we can pass the model name. So whatever the model you created, that model name you can pass. Now, for loading a predefined helper, what is the method? Guys, this of load of what you want to load helper. There is a method called helper method. So here we have to pass the helper name. What is the helper name? Did you create any helper? No, you didn't create any helper. Framework created the helpers, then we are going to use them. If you want to know the name of the helper, we have to go through the manual, and there we can check the predefined helpers available and what are the helpers are there and what is their names and how can we load those helpers into our controller, right, guys? Loading helper into our controller. What is a method here? So this of load of helper is a method. In this, we have to pass the predefined helper and the custom helper. You may create your own helper also, now. That helper also we can pass here, guys. Right? Let us see how can we load a helper into your controller. First of all, let me create one controller here. To this controller, we are going to pass we are going to load this helper. After loading this helper, how can we access this helper? How can we access the helper methods and all? We are going to check it. So meanwhile, I want to show you from manual also. Go to manual on general topics. Can you see here we have helpers? We all discussed about these, right? So coordinate URLs, controllers, resort names, and views and models. Now we are talking about the helpers, guys. Click on the helpers. First, read this message. What is this? Is it saying that helpers, as name suggests, will help you with your tasks? Each helper simply a collection of functions in a particular category. That's what I'm saying, you guys. String library, date library, file handling library, how we have in our core PHP, in the same manner, we have some kind of list of helpers, guys, right? So these predefined helpers, what are all the predefined helpers are they? All these helpers are available in system helpers. System in our application folder structure, if you can go to our news folder, go to news, and if you can go here, there you can see system. In system, we have a folder called helpers folder. All the predefined helpers are going to be available here. Can you see? You can see the list of available helpers, and these helpers are going to contain some collection of methods. In array helper contains some methods. Captcha helper contains some methods. Cookie helper contains some methods. Here you can see form helper, which is mostly used in our application development. This is also contain a lot of methods. Form helper, URL helper, and this is also mostly used helper in our application development, guys, right? Let us see all these helpers, right? So these are the predefined, and we what framework is saying that don't go system folder. If you want, you can create. If you want, you can extend the helper also, but there is a separate process that I can explain you later. When can we go for our own helpers? What is the situation, and all we will see it, guys. And loading helper, I told you this of load of helper. This is the predefined method we have. So if you want to load any of the helper, which is provided with the framework, yes, there is a method called this of load of helper. Name of the helper you have to pass here. Here they are showing an example. If you want to work with URL helper, and this is the parameter you have to pass here. If you can load URL helper, what are all the methods available in this URL helper will automatically available to your controller. Not only in controller, you can use those methods in helper, you can use those view, you can use those methods in model also. Once a library or helper loaded into controller, that can be accessed everywhere in your views and in your models. We don't want to load helpers and libraries separately into models and views. If you can load a library or a helper into a controller, that is automatically available to a model and view. So we don't want to load separately into model and views, right? Whatever it may be, right? So this is how, and later I think so loading multiple helpers. If you want, you can load multiple helpers, helper one, and by taking this into an array, helper one, helper two, helper three, like this also we can simply saying that what is there saying that if you, this is the one helper. If you want to load multiple helpers, here simply you can take this into an array. This is an array. So helper one, comma, helper two, comma, helper three, something like this. We can load multiple helpers. See, if you want to load three helpers, you don't need to write 3 times helper one and 3 times load of helper, something like this. We don't need to write it. If you want just one time load and a helper method, and to this pass an array, to this array is a name of the helpers, guys. Multiple helpers, we can load something like this. If you have only one helper, simply you can go like this. When you are having multiple helpers, this is one of the solution, guys. This is how we can load the multiple helpers in one shot, right? Let me create one controller, right? I'm going to create one controller here. Save the file inside of my controllers folder. First, because why I'm creating controller, I'm not creating model, I'm not creating a view. I'm creating a controller. Why I have to create a controller? Every library, every helper is going to be loaded into your controller only. Why I have to load in a controller only? If you can load the files into controller, they are automatically available to a view and model automatically. And we don't want to load them into separately, right? That's what I'm saying. You go to controllers and let me create one file test.php. I think this is already available. No problem. Overriding. No problem, guys. Yeah. So what is my class name? Class test. Follow the basic rules, and every class needs to extend with CI underscore controller, CONTROLLER controller, and yeah, CI controller. So inside of it, I'm taking one function, public function index, index function. Do you want to load any view inside of it? Okay, let me load one view, guys. I didn't create any view here actually, right? So let me create one view. This of load view. Actually, we have to create it. Let me create one view, test underscore view dot.php. This view is not there actually. Now, if you can execute a test method, you are going to get an error. Why? Because that view is not available now. Now you can simply call test controller. I'm calling it, hit enter. You are having error. What is the error? Unable to load the requested file test view.php, because this view is not created by you, and create this view, then you can get this error, guys. Now I'm going to create this view, save the file into views folder, where we have to save. That is very important. Into views folder, go to, now I am in controllers. I'm going to views. I'm saving the file test underscore view.php. Name of the file could be anything, guys. That is what choice complete. Now refresh, you cannot get error. Why? Because the file is available. Sometimes when you are getting any error, please check this carefully. Why this error is coming? Read the message first. If you can read the message, so you will understand why error is coming, where the error is coming. It is simply saying that unable to load the requested file. What is the file we are requesting into the controller? Test view. This file was not there. That's why you are getting this error. Now let me write some HTML code here. I'm writing some HTML code. This is already we know, right? How to create a view, how to load a view into controller. This is already we know. But now I have to talk about a helper. That's why I'm creating this kind of stuff, guys. So let me show you how we can work with helpers as well. I'm writing something like basic HTML or HTML document. Body tag open, body tag close. Okay, same heading I'm taking basic HTML. Now you can refresh the page. I think the view will be loaded here and you are getting the output. So are you calling this HTML directly? No, you are calling this HTML indirectly with the help of controller. This is the view file. Is this view file is rendering in the browser automatically or directly? No. So this is always called with the help of a controller. First, as per MVC, who will receive the request? Controller will receive. This index method will get called automatically, and if it gets called automatically, this is going to load the view and it is going to render the output into the browser. This is what exactly. Now I want to load some helpers, guys. How can we load the helpers? If we can go to the manual, can you go to the bottom of this, guys? 1 minute. You can see the list of available libraries. Can you see here in the left hand side, we have menu item, libraries, database reference. We will talk about libraries and database reference later in the session. Now I'm talking about helpers, right? Let's click on the helpers. These are the available helpers. You don't know how to load a helper. You don't know what are the methods available in the helper. Then what you need to do, read the manual. Try to habituate reading the manual so that you will get more clarity. Right? So it is not possible for me also to discuss each and every helper. Based on my requirement, based on my situations, I can use some helpers in my application development definitely. But you guys needs to explore these remaining helpers also, guys, right? For example, here we have a lot of helper, array helper. Click on this array helper. So read this, first of all, habituate how to work with a helper. If you can understand how to work with one helper, remaining are going to be easy. That's why I'm asking you, right, to read one helper. Can you see, guys, here? Array helper. Loading this helper. How can we load this helper into your controller? Right, this is the way of loading a helper into your controller. What are the methods available inside this helper, array helper? There is a method called element method, right? So this is the method element. Okay, you can come down. There is another method called elements method. Okay, you can bit come down, and you can see a method called random element from an array also. There is another method called random element like this. So this is what exactly we have the thing, guys. Some random codes. They taken all the codes, one element. How many codes are there? There are 6 codes are there. They're writing random. So simply, if you want, you can copy this, guys. See, I'm just going to copy this and keep it into your controller. But remember, if you want to work with this, first of all, you have to load this helper. This of load of helper, helper helper. Remember carefully, we are able to see there is a method. What is the method we are able to see? Random underscore element. This is the method we are able to see there. Random element method. Where this method was there, this was an array helper. If you want to access this random helper, you have to load that particular helper. Without loading that particular helper, if you are writing random element, it is going to give you an error. See, I am writing this of load of helper. First, let me load it. helper. What is the name of the helper you have to load? Array helper. How do I know here I have to pass parameter array? I don't know. I read the manual. Nah? Just now I went to manual. In the manual, they are saying that the loading library. What is the loading library here? Can you see? How can we load a library? This is the way of loading a library. By seeing this statement, I understand how to load a library, array helper. So we loaded array helper. Once you loaded the helper, then only we can access the available methods inside of it. Can you see here? I'm copying the same codes. This is the codes array. From here, we are generating a random code. Can you see? This is the random element. It is going to get one random element from the array. The random element we have to pass to the view, guys. This is what we have to check it now, right? Let me see it, guys, what exactly will happen. So here, now refresh the page. If you can refresh the page, you can get one random code. Refresh it. You are getting random code now. Refresh every time. You are getting some random code on the top of the page. But see, as per our MVC, who is the responsible person to display the data? View, na? But who is printing data? Did you see? Is here, if you can observe, controller is printing the data. Controller is not a person to print the data, guys. He is the person to print the data. No, view is the responsible person. So What is this random element is giving? Random element is giving one random element from that array. So let me take this into right dollar data. Let us take an associative array. We know how can we pass the data to a view as a associative array. This I'm going to pass. What is this, guys? Quota, QUOT, quote. One quote we are getting, right? Quotes array from quote. Just you can pass this dollar data here. Dollar data. This is how we can pass, right? What I need to do now? Go to the view and just print this data. So you will get the random code for every time, guys. Now we can write some H1. Okay, take a paragraph tag, open, close. This you can take some bold, open, bold tag, close. Simply, I'm taking something called QUOT, quote, and this is going to be the variable, guys. What do you have to print it here? Echo dollar quote, QUOT. So where this is coming from, dollar QUOT, remember, whatever the associative array key, this is the name of the key, right? QUOT. The same key should be printed into your view. Now you can refresh it. View is the responsible person to print the data now. Can you see who is printing this? View now, because the view knows how beautifully we can display the data, but controller doesn't know and a model doesn't know. What a model knows? Model knows what to display. A view knows how beautifully we can display. Right? This is remember carefully. A view doesn't know what to display, but view only knows how to display. What a model knows, guys? Model only knows what to display in the view, and model doesn't know how to design, how to display the data, guys. Who is a responsible person as per MVC? View to display. To what to display? Model is a responsible person, guys. Now you can refresh every time. You are getting different code now. You are getting right. So this is how we can use that particular helper. I mean, slowly I'm getting the helpers for you guys so that you will get more clarity. For example, if you are not loading this helper, I'm not loading this helper, guys. If you are not loading this helper, then what is going to happen? You are going to get error. What is the error you are getting? Call to undefined function random element, right? What is the file name? Test.php and line number 16. You are getting error on line number 16. Test.php. What is test.php? That is our name of the controller. There on line number 16, you call a function random element which is undefined. Why this is undefined? Because you don't load the library helper. So enable this helper. Now you can refresh the page. You are getting the output. This is very important. If you want to access any of the method from the helper, first the helper should be loaded. Okay, right. Now the next thing, guys, one more helper we can talk about, right? Test helper is completed. So you can go with another helper. Or shall we create one more controller? Yes, that is also possible. So or else let me keep this into a separate file. So I'm not doing this, right? Let us remove this code, whatever the helpers we did. And okay, the view is okay. The same view, random element I'm removing. So I think we got some clarity how to load a helper, how to pass the data to a view, right? Let me remove this simple thing. Now I want to show you one more, guys. Let me show you one more way of doing it. Right? Anyhow, this is recorded, right? Session is recording. You can check them. Practically, I want to load. I don't want to create one more file. Let me use the same file. No problem at all for me. Right here, if you can understand, I'll try to see. So here, I want to go for another helper, guys. Can you see here we have captcha helper, date helper, directory helper, download helper, email helper, form helper. Let me click on the form helper. Why I'm going to form helper? This is one of the mostly used helper in our application. Definitely. So in our most of the forms, when we are creating registration form, contact form, login form, inquiry forms, then definitely we are going to use this, guys. Definitely that's the reason I'm going to come here. So loading helper. So how can we load this helper? Simply, they are saying the statement, this soft load of helper. What is the name of the helper? Form helper. So what to pass to the helper method? Here we can understand. Can you see? I'm loading this helper. This soft load helper. HEL helper. What is the name of the helper, guys? Here, form helper is the helper which is given by the framework, right? Right. For captcha helper, you have to get a lot of knowledge. Wait for some time. We will discuss each and every helper. Don't worry. Right now, that is not required. So if you want to understand, you have to know some other concepts before going to captcha helper. Right? So for this, we don't require anything. Later we will see. Don't worry. Captcha helper means that won't do anything. Read the manual. You can also implement it. So for this, you have to create one folder. Captcha means it will generate for every refresh. It will generate a new image there. That new image we have to store into the cookie or session. and we have to verify when you are entering in the login form or contact form, then I will tell you about CAPTCHA. Why? Because just creating CAPTCHA is no use, right? So how can we use the CAPTCHA helper in our application? Then it will be present and good thing to go, right? So form helper is loaded, guys. Remember here in the view that helper we can access directly. Why? Because I told you already, if we can load any of the helper into controller, that helper can be accessible in the particular view automatically, test view. So this is what you can see. Now I'm going to write one function, guys. Here, take this carefully. Once helper is loaded, there is a method inside of it, echo form underscore input, guys. This is the method we have. What is the method name? Form input. What it will do, it will create a basic form, guys. Can you see form element will be created here? Refresh. You are getting text box now. So generally in our HTML, how can we create an input box, guys? Generally, so we have an input element, right? So what is the element called? Input type. So this is what we will do it, guys. Input type equal to text. The same was created by using CodeIgniter also, guys. Refresh the page. Now you can see this is by HTML. This is by CodeIgniter library. Sorry, helper method, right? So now you can see you can pass some value also to it. So you have to provide the name of the input field now. So for this, do you see I'm providing the name equal to uname I'm providing here. So how can I provide the name for this input box? 1 minute. Let me refresh the page and go to the browser, and you can see I'm refreshing. This is the input element created by the framework. Yeah, can you see, guys, here in the console input? For the first input element, there is no attribute called name. For the second input element, there is an attribute called name, guys. So how can we provide the name? Nothing. If you want, you can provide a first parameter, guys. Here, the first parameter will be the name of the input field. This is going to be email I provided. Can you refresh the page? If you can refresh, you can see the name is going to be email. Did you see how we can provide? So here each and every parameter will be act as something, guys, right? So you can understand such a manner like this, right? If you can pass the second, it will always go as a value. I'm going to provide you rom@mail.com. Can you see? Now it is acting as a value, right? Second parameter will be active. First parameter is the name of the input field. So what is the method we are using? Form input is a predefined method. Can you see? If I comment this helper, you cannot work with this form input. Refresh the page, you are going to get error. Call to undefined function form input. Is that not right? It is an undefined function form input. Why? Because that help. See one thing. Any of the helper method you want to access, first the helper should be loaded into controller. Once that is loaded, then we can do anything. And one more thing, these are the form elements now. Generally form elements should be kept into form tag now. Form tag open and form tag close. Every form element should be here. So what is a form method here by default? Form method equal to post, guys, and action equal to empty. We can provide. Yes or not? If I refresh, can you see it is loaded? A form tag is also there. Form tag. This is the form tag. Can you see in the console? This is the form tag. Form method action empty. And here it is added some div. Don't worry. Some error is there. Why error is there? Because that enable now save the file. This is not saved, right? Earlier I commented, but I didn't save. Now, okay. Now refresh the page. Now, can you see? Form tag was opened and input element is there as well as another input element is there. But the second input is HTML related. Understand? So this is the HTML you taken and this is framework related input field. Sir, which one I have to take in your application development, sir? You can take any one of your choice. There is no advantages one over another. Completely, you can take your choice. So if I am in the case, I will go with completely HTML without having any confusion. So do you see? This is the form tag open and this is the form tag close, right? You do one thing here. There is another helper method. What is that method? You know, guys, open PHP, close PHP, echo form underscore open, guys. This is the method we have. What is this form open method will do? It will open the form tag. Can you see now? I'm removing this. Refresh the page. Form tag is not there, guys. Only input elements are there here. The console input. Now by adding this method, can you see form open? What happened? All the input elements will enter in. Did you see? Form tag was created, guys. This form tag is created inside the form tag. The email was there as well as input element is there. And this method post, app separate char set, and action empty. Did you provide anything? No, you didn't provide anything. That is coming automatically. What is the action? Action is giving to same page. but there is index.php. What is this colon colon one? Colon colon one is not correct, right? We have to get something called HTTP localhost something, right? Why this is coming, we have to set the base URL. I will tell you how to set the base URL. In interview, there is a question. How can we define the base URL of our project? What is the base URL? And localhost news is our base URL, guys. This is called base URL. We have to set it. Wherever you are accessing, you have to access by using HTTP localhost news. When you are in the live server, then your base URL will be live domain name http://gophp.in is my base URL in the live. Because we are in the local server, so your local server is localhost news is your base URL. So how can we set it? We will see, guys. Now, can you see the form open and the form close? If you want, you can close the form also, guys, manually. Open PHP, close PHP. So you can write form close also. Echo, but every function, every helper function should be echoed, guys. Form close. No problem. You can write like this also. Refresh the page. Nothing different, guys. Form tag is open here. Form tag is closed here. If you just open form tag, that will close it automatically. It is not mandatory actually. If you want, you can use it form open and form close also. You can use it. Now refresh the page. Can you see? See what is these methods are doing? These are some helper methods to create your HTML form. If you want, you can create the HTML form. Otherwise, you can go with the plain HTML, nothing but general or HTML. You can write it, no problem. Or else you can use a helper, form helper. This form helper is specially suited for form creation. So we have to submit the form, right? For submitting form also, there is a button. Echo form underscore submit is the button, guide function submit button. That's it. Now you can see submit button will be added into the form. Some error form underscore submit. FORM form submitter form. I need to check the function, guys. 1 minute. Let me check the form submit, right? So here you can go to the helper. That helper we can check the each and every available methods, guys. Form open is a method. It will opens the form. I read the manual. If you can read the manual, you will understand. Control F submit. SUBMIT submit. What is the method we have for the submit, guys? Here form submit. Yeah, form submit only I written, right? Why I'm getting error? I think we have to pass value to it, guys. Here form submit save. Let me refresh the page. I think earlier we have that error, I believe. So I'm not getting that. What is the error? Call to undefined function form underscore SUBMIT. Spell mistake is there. Sorry. So you have to make it SUBMIT. SUBMIT. Spell mistakes. That's the reason it is not. Can you see a submit button was created? So to this we have to provide some value now. Save. Again I'm providing. This is the name of the button, guys. First field always the name of the submit button, and second one is going to be the value. Right now, can you see save button is there? So generally, how we can create the buttons, guys, here. So input to type equal. You can use anyone, guys. That is your choice completely. Input type equal to submit. Name equal to save, and value equal to save. Which one you are flexible that you can use it. Right. I am saying you again. There is no advantages one over another. You can use anyone. That is of your choice completely. Right. Now you can see one more save button is there. Two save. One is created by the helper. One is created by using HTML purely, guys. Right. So this is how we can use the helpers. For example, if you want to create a basic HTML form, yes, we can create a basic HTML form. So generally, I will use like this, guys. So this is the form we are doing, right? Let me do one thing. Let me create a small contact form, guys. Here, all of you try to see. Echo form underscore open. Form tag will be open. Action is empty, guys. If you're not providing anything, that is going to be empty action. So I'm using form close. This is going to be form close. Always refresh the page. Form is not there, but if you can press F12, form tag was created. Can you see form tag is created with the default action, method post, and app separate cassette UTF-8 is created. Now in the middle, you can take one table table tag. What I can do in this complete like I HTML. Your choice completely. This is going to be tr and tr. In this tr, I want to take a td open, td close. Here, username. This is going to be input element. Directly I'm writing, guys. Can you see input type equal to text? Generally, we will write like this. Input type equal to text and a name equal to uname. This is what I am doing. Refresh the page. Can you see input field is created. Inside we have table. Inside the table, we have something called body, tr contain td, as well as this is going to be contain one input field, guys. This is how we create it. Like this, let me create mobile, email, and all also, right? This is a tr, right? This is going to be input type equal to email. If you don't want this, you can write CodeIgniter helper method also. What is a helper method? So in place of it, open PHP, close PHP, echo form underscore input. Okay, form underscore input input. Input field name is email. That's enough, guys. I think so. ID and all not required. So later I will tell you how can we add the attributes ID and all also. Read the manual so that you will understand the things very clearly, right? So next parameter is going to be mobile, 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 input type text name equal to mobile. Like this also, you can combine both. You can combine both HTML and PHP. You can combine CodeIgniter like helper. So no problem at all. This is going to be message. So if you want to go for this is text area. Let me take this as a text area. Right, text area name equal to message, something like this. message message. Right? Can you see the form? Refresh the form, and you can see this is all going to be created. But this email text box is created by using helper method, but remaining all are created by using normal HTML. I'm saying you can use any of the things that is our choice completely, no problem at all, right? So now the next thing is going to be the submit button. Right? Finally, we have to add a submit button. Input type equal to submit and a name equal to submit. It should be MIT and value equal to send. So this is how we can work with it. But once you submit the form, where it is going to, can you see I'm entering some data? Okay, you submit it. Once you submit it, can you see it is going to somewhere ::1. The URL was changed, right? So we don't want it actually. Now let me show you how can we change how can we add the base URL. How can we add base URL in CodeIgniter? This is one common question in interview. Set up the base URL, guys. How can we set up or how can we add the base URL? Open CodeIgniter config.php from the location. What is the location of this, guys? Project / application folder, guys. In application folder, we have config folder. I told you already. If we can open config folder, there we can find the following file. So there is a option called base URL. What is the base URL? By default, empty option will be there. Open this file, guys. Let me open this file. Go to the following location. Application, config folder. Inside config.php, this second file it is. Just open the file here. Open with editor. The first parameter, guys, base URL. What is the base URL of the site? Because it is going to be empty by default, you have to set the base URL. We are in the local, guys. So if you are in the local, this is the local path. HTTP localhost / news /. You can add the slash also. Otherwise, you can omit, no problem. But I'm adding slash. But you are in the live, right? When you are in the live, for example, if you are in the live server, then what you can do, make this as a live URL, http // for example, if I am, this is going to be go php.it. This is live. If you are in live, because we are in the local, right? What is my local domain name? This is my local domain. That's my localhost news. Here you can remove this index.php also and make it empty, guys, simply. Why? Because in URL you are getting index.php. Did you observe, guys, here? So if you can F12 in the base URL path, do you see index.php is also getting there? Now if you can refresh it, can you see the path is going to be changed completely, guys? Now this is the path now, ::1 news index.php. Refresh it. Now you are going to get it base URL path, localhost news test, something like this. I mean, once you submit the form, you will be in the same page. The URL should be something like this, and that is the base URL. Wherever you want to access the base URL, that we can access directly, guys, right? In any way. So directly, there is a helper, base URL helper. There we can discuss about it. How can we load this particular helper and all? So this is how we can work with the helper. There is here in the helpers list, guys, we have one more helper called URL helper. So if you want, you can check this URL helper also. Go to the helpers list here. There is some method called base URL helper, URL helper. This is the URL helper to work with all the URLs, right? Loading this helper. What is the point? You can see here. this helper is loaded using, this is the way of loading helper. Once this helper is loaded, site URL, what is your site URL? What is the current URL? What is the base URL, right? So now you can get, this is site URL, and this is the base URL method is there. That is the base URL means whatever the base URL you defined in the config.php. So this is the base URL you defined, right? So if we can write the method, for example, if you want to get it, you can write simply echo base URL. So by writing this method, we will get the path. What is the path you defined in the config.php? This path you will get automatically, guys. But to work with this base URL, I will explain you this in the next session. Don't worry. So next session also we can discuss about helpers, guys. Some more helpers we have to discuss, and some of the things we have to at least 2 classes. Let us discuss about the helpers, right? So this is how we can work with the helpers, guys. Right? First, so gone through this video and try to read about the manuals also and try to use the helpers. I discussed 2 helpers now with you. Try to go and some other helpers, guys, from your own. Try to habituate. You, if you don't know, read the manual. Manual will guide you very clearly. Can you see, guys, when I'm working with form helper, they're giving you very clear idea, guys. If we can go back, this is the form helper I'm having, right? So 1 minute, let me show you the form helper. What is a form open? There is a method. Read the method, that's it. If we can read the method and parameters, it's create a form opening tag with the base URL built-in form configuration preference, and this is what. If you can write a function like this, what is the output generated? This is the output is going to be generated with the action also they are given here. So you guys needs to check the library. You have to read the manual. If we can read the manual, things will become very, very easy, guys. Seriously. Right? Here you can see there is a method form hidden, form multipart, form open multipart. There is another method form hidden. If you can write form hidden, can you see form open? They written. This is going to be the form open. They are writing some hidden form fields also here. How can we work with hidden form fields? Right? Can you see form open, email send, and they pass it hidden? Then what happened? It is creating 2 input fields with the hidden values, guys. This is nice. Seriously, you can go through the manual also, and don't stick to my videos only, and try to read the manual also, guys. If you can read the manual, things will become very easy for us. Some of the things, it is not possible for me also to discuss everything in the sessions, right? What are the things we require that I will discuss in the session on the fly, guys, right? Fine, guys. Tomorrow also we can discuss about some other helpers. Once after that, we can go for the libraries. Once these libraries are completed, we will go for database configuration, and slowly we can start the database configurations, guys, right? That we will see in the next session, guys.